What happens when you take two serious anglers, drop them on an unknown body of water, and give them a mission to conquer the lake and each other?
You're down 2-0. You got one?
I got him.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Two different patterns, one unknown lake, with no practice and no preparation. Who will catch the most fish and how? The only way to find out is to go commando. The mission is simple. Two experienced anglers. Two different battle plans. Going head to head on one unfamiliar body of water. Steve Pennaz takes us to the front line of fishing to learn the lessons of the Lake Commandos.
Tommy, I gotta be upfront and honest with you. I've been on this stretch of river, okay? I'm just telling you that right now. But the last time I was here was about 20 degrees and the river was about 50 feet higher than it is right now. So it's not gonna help us at all.
Lake Commandos live for a challenge. The challenge of new water, a new bait, an unfamiliar fish, or the ultimate challenge of putting your skills to the test against the very best. And when it comes to big river walleyes, there was no one in the country better than veteran professional Tommy Skarlis. So today, Steve Pennaz is gonna have his hands full.
I met Tommy probably 20 years ago at a tournament on a river. And since then, he's gone on to become probably the world's preeminent walleye fisherman. He's the all-time money winner, and he's just one of those sticks that really stands out.
Today's commando mission is to find and catch late summer walleyes on a large, slow-moving river. River systems, especially large rivers, are the perfect venue for a true commando test because no other body of water changes faster from day to day, even hour to hour, than a big river. And those changes directly affect the fish. Here are the details on today's battleground. The Commandos will be working a 30-mile stretch of river in a heavily urban area with high barge traffic. Max depth in this stretch of river is around 22 feet in the main channel. The low flow and high water temps have combined to create a typical late summer algae bloom, which has reduced water clarity to barely more than 2 feet. Available habitat is typical of a large river in an urban industrial area, with channel edges, backwater areas, and dozens of shallow wing dams along the main channel. Cover is diverse and varied, with an abundance of man-made rock formations in the form of wing dams, isolated rock humps, and points extending into the main channel. Forage includes yellow perch and a wide variety of minnow species. The weather is less than ideal for chasing walleyes, with air temps in the low 90s and water temps in the low 80s. It's hot and humid with a chance of thunderstorms in the forecast. That's the battleground the Lake Commandos are facing, and we're about to find out their plan of attack. But we also want to know how you would fish it, so let us know online.
And because it's late summer, early fall, the forage is big. So we're gonna go after them with something big. We're fishing deep, we have to use something heavy. Big and heavy equates to handmade do-it jigs. I make them myself, and using a big shape on them, Berkeley Ripple Shad. 4-inch and the new 5-inchers that just came out. And the line I'm gonna use a super line. This is a 20-pound test Spiderwire Stealth. I've also got some of my reels rigged with 15-pound test Fire line. I use a flip and switch, an Abu Garcia Silver Max reel. The old school stuff for bass anglers, but us walleye anglers like to use it to make minute adjustments. This is the tactic that I'm going to use to try to dethrone Steve Pennaz from his walleye wisdom chair.
These are not prime walleye conditions by any means. I like the fact that he's going deep, but I also think that maybe a little bit later this afternoon, these fish are going to slide up and they're going to feed off these wing dams, and I want to throw cranks. I want to work cranks along those, either the tip or the point or along the face of these wing dams. And this stretch of river has numerous wing dams, and we're just going to go from wing dam to wing dam, tossing things like this flicker shad by Berkeley. It comes in a lot of different sizes. I'll go up or down depending on the water depth that we're dealing with. I'm gonna throw it on Berkeley 10-pound nanofill. This thing casts a mile, it's super thin, digs down deep. I'm throwing it on a 7-foot medium light Abu Garcia Veritas rod. I've got the Revo Premier reel, very smooth drag, and just an ultimate system for casting cranks long distances. This is the technique that if these fish move up shallow, Tommy's fishing deep, I'm gonna go shallow. This is the bait I'm gonna use to beat him today.
What makes a river system so challenging, even for one of the best walleye fishermen in the world today, is the fact that preconceived notions play little or no part in analyzing a river. Based on factors like the time of year and weather, you may think you know what to expect, but you never know what's really happening on a river until you are physically there and can see the conditions firsthand. Today, thanks to the low flow and super low water clarity, Tommy's plan to rely on plastics is simply not going to work. But quitting is not an option, so Skarlis is going to reload with a tried and true river technique.
You know, when it gets tough like this, Steve, and I'm glad that you've had a lot of experience doing this too, and have agreed to try something different and change. You know, I figured maybe you'd pigeonhole me into that tactic that I picked, but you know, when things get tough, you gotta do one of two things. You gotta either speed up, which then I would have trolled crankbaits with the kicker motor at 2 to 3 miles per hour across the face of these wing dams, or you have to slow down. You have to give them that dinnerman approach, to where you just slowly let something sit in front of their nose until they bite it. And we're marking enough fish. So again, I'm glad that the two of us could come to the conclusion that we needed to slow down.
Lake Commandos is brought to you by Abu Garcia, For Life, Trilene, Anglers Trust, Berkeley Trilene, Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time, Nanofill, the next generation in fishing line, and by Fish Hound, when to go, where to go, what to throw. The Lake Commandos are on a mission to find and catch big river walleyes under less than ideal conditions. And there is perhaps no one better suited for the task than Tommy Skarlis. A 16-year veteran of the touring professional walleye fishing circuits, Skarlis is one of the most successful to ever wet a line. His resume includes the 1997 MWC Team of the Year, the 2004 In-Fisherman Professional Walleye Trail Angler of the Year, and the 2008 FLW Walleye Tour Champion. He has also qualified for and fished in 29 different Tour Championship events in his career. But his first love has always been river walleyes.
There, I got one going. In starting out, the reason I wanted to go to wing dams first is that I knew that the fish would be located on the structure. And secondly is I really love to fish wing dams. I mean, I really love to fish rock structure. And to set the hook on this fish, I'm just gonna reel and keep reeling, and then I'm gonna set the hook.
Got him, huh?
And that should drive the, yep, I got him.
I'll get a net for you.
It's not a real big one, but it's a good one. Any fish right now would be a good one.
Yeah. Ooh, nice eye. Real nice fish. Look at that. Orange bead. 20+ incher, Tommy. Look at that.
Yeah.
Once we got on the water, we realized that the water temp was an incredible 80 degrees. For a walleye, that's hot. And when it's that hot for walleyes, they're not as active. And that's why we had to slow way down.
Hey, Steve.
Yeah, you got one?
You're down 2-0.
You got one?
I got him.
Man. Oh yeah, there you go. Rivers tend to be underfished by anglers because a lot of anglers are intimidated by them. This particular body of water behind us has easy access and good depth, but there's a lot of smaller rivers that you can access by foot or by small boat that offer tremendous fishing even in a major metropolitan area. You know, you've probably noticed I'm letting him run the trolling motor because Tommy, if you get to know him a little bit, if he's not in control, he goes crazy. So what I'm gonna do is, as soon as he thinks he's got everything figured out, I'm gonna take over the motor.
I thought I got to run my program for 2 hours.
This isn't your program anymore. We switched. You dog.
You saw it before I felt it. How'd you do that?
I'm just trying to figure out why you're fishing that side of the boat, and moving up and down and stopping all the time.
I mean, this guy was racking his brain to figure out what I was doing, how I was doing it. He was noticing bites on my rod about the same time I was noticing them, which meant he was watching mine more than he was watching his. But it's that attention to detail and those subtle differences, those little things that mean so much in fishing, that allow you to key in on that and ultimately become successful. Oh, they're getting bigger.
That's a nice sized fish.
Oh!
You bite you?
Not the release that we wanted, but he got released. Good thing we weren't gonna keep that one.
You know, there was dozens of wing dams on this stretch of river we fished today, but we honed in on the ones that had deeper water, that had good edges, and seemed to be closer to the main river channel. And the more current they had, the better. Oh yeah, baby.
Did you get him?
That's a bass. It's a baby bass.
Now we're gonna find out what the rules really are. Does this count?
No, they don't count. We're fishing walleye. You know, I have to admit, earlier today, I was not in the ball game. When we made the switch from jigs to a live bait rig, I was fishing way too heavy. But more importantly, the fish were telling me Tommy was doing things right and I wasn't. That's a sheephead. All right. You know, there are bonus points for multiple species.
Yeah, just not in this tournament.
Not in this tournament.
Steve Pennaz is getting a live bait lesson from one of the best. But when Lake Commandos returns, Steve will take the lead and try to crank up the pressure on Tommy Skarlis. This segment of Lake Commandos is brought to you by Yeti Coolers. Yeti, wildly stronger, keep ice longer. The Lake Commandos are on a rough and tumble mission to find walleyes on a low and slow urban river. The tough conditions forced Tommy Skarlis to give up on his plan to jig plastics and switch to a three-way rig with live bait. The move produced a handful of fish and an early lead, but now it's time to make the switch to Steve's crankbait casting program.
You know, I got to show you something really cool. This is called the iPilot, and we're using something called spot lock. So what we do is we position the boat where we want it. We're just distance from the thing. Just hit the button. You can see the little propeller moving around, so we're locked in. And this Minn Kota motor and this Humminbird keeps us exactly in the spot. We don't have an anchor right out. This is keeping us right where we want to be and allows us to fish in the back of the boat and really put these crankbaits where they need to be.
You know, the biggest key to doing this too, Steve, and I notice you do it too.
What's that?
Is that we're fan casting. You start and you cast to a point, then you move over about 5 feet, then you move over about 5 feet, then you move over about 5 feet. And as soon as you get to the point where you can't cast anymore, you go back to where you started.
I thought cranks today were going to be the ticket. I was thinking these fish would be up on these dams. The flicker shad is dynamite.
If I could compare fishing to golf, it would be in the sense that right when you're getting ready to throw your entire bag of clubs into the water and go home, you get a birdie on number 18.
Yeah, it brings you back.
Yeah, we're about ready to give up crankbaits, and then Steve has a bite. So
I'm sitting there watching the sonar unit. We're in about 10, 12 feet of water right here, and I'm watching the fish swimming underneath us. We've had 2 bites, actually 1 bite on the crank, and I just think we're fishing over the fish here. I think they're. Let's make this switch back to your technique. I concede that as good as the flicker shads are, today is not their day.
if I had a couple of tips for fishermen that are struggling in rivers or in river settings, one of them would be to have confidence. Just realize that if you drag your lure around in enough spots and enough places, you're gonna catch more fish. And the second thing is keep moving. And that's the best advice I give anybody is move often. Keep your lure moving and find active fish.
Net! Lift it in.
Net! He was hoping it would fall off. Is there a fall off clause? Do they still count if you get them to the net?
You're not gonna count that, are you? That's a walleyette.
Once we realize that they're coming off of the 12-foot inside cups of the wing dams or out on the tips of the wing dams, you can actually take that from spot to spot to spot, realize other productive spots, and duplicate the pattern and catch a ton of fish.
Gotta stay off the dam here. Oh yeah, there we go. Once I made the switch to go lighter, and once I got that first bite and hooked up on that first fish, I knew it was on at least a pattern that was going to work, and it gave me the confidence and the focus to continue to fish that way. Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
Oh,
nice
biggest
one
of the day. He's back.
That one's a beaut. That's the best one yet, maybe.
Yeah, it is. That's a good one. That's got to be about a 23-inch fish.
Yeah.
22.
Nice fish. Whoa! He wanted to go.
Lake Commandos is brought to you by Yamaha Marine. Reliability starts here. Gulp Alive. Looks, feels, tastes alive. Yeti Coolers. Wildly stronger. Keep ice longer. Not too kinky. No kinks ever. And by Humminbird. Simply, clearly better. When it comes to river fishing, you can never be absolutely certain of what to expect. Even the most seasoned lake commando never knows for sure what Old Man River is going to throw at them. Today, Steve Pennaz and Tommy Skarlis both got tripped up by unexpected river conditions, but they've adjusted and adapted and are on the fish.
The neatest thing I found about Lake Commandos is that people can do this at home. You can take your normal fishing buddy or a new fishing buddy and go along the Lake Commando guidelines of, okay, we're each gonna pick a pattern, we're each gonna do it for 2 hours, we're gonna be competitive, and we're gonna learn from each other.
Ooh, nice fish. Net, please.
I'm on the case.
Oh yeah, head shakes and everything. It's a good fish.
Think it's a walleye?
Oh yeah. Oh, there he is. Yeah, baby, number 6.
Oh,
number
that
6.
That is number 6.
Number 6. We decided we had 10 minutes left in the competition. We made the run back to our most productive wing dam, a spot that we caught several fish on earlier in the day. And there was a certain little sweet spot on it, and Tommy knew where it was. No, and it's a sheepy. It's a sheepy. What is it? It's a seaman!
And it's a tie! The fill of victory! The agony of the sheep.
Oh. You know, whenever you can get out in the boat with someone like Tommy Skarlis that knows a lot about this game or the game that they play a lot, you learn a lot. And today, it was a situation where went from too heavy, thinking river, these fish aren't that finesse, to having to go down to 6-pound test and mono to catch fish and to go real light. But what a day and what a competition, and the first ever tie on Lake Commandos. I think you get a minus for that.
If you want to catch some walleye, you got to rough up a little wool.
I have to admit, I haven't been this frustrated on the water in a long time. You know, Tommy started out of the gate screaming, catching fish left and right, and I'm fishing literally right next to him, and I'm getting thumped, and I couldn't really figure out why. So I started watching what he was doing. I looked, he was using lighter line. He was using a lighter rod, a softer tip rod. I was using this outfit here. This is a medium action Veritas rod, super lightweight, super sensitive with nanofill. I have 10-pound nanofill on here, not because we're casting, just because I wanted the sensitivity. The problem was it was too sensitive and the fish were feeling me as much as I was feeling them, and they were dropping the bait. My solution was to drop down in rod size. I went from a 7-footer down to a 6'4", light tip. This is a medium action Fenwick rod. I went with 10-pound XL monofilament. Monofilament has just a little bit of stretch in between the softer tip rod and the monofilament. It was just enough for those fish not to feel me enough to drop the bait. The difference went from 0 fish to 6 fish pretty quickly, and it was the difference between catching fish today and not catching fish. Hey, normally at this time of the show, we share a $2 bill, and whoever loses the competition has to sign it for the winner. Unfortunately today, well, I guess fortunately, Tom, we're not changing $2 bill here. We came into a tie.
You're gonna keep it?
I'm keeping my $2 bill.
The sheep head doesn't count?
The sheep head should cost you $2. I'll tell you what.
Good point.
I thought you had it though, but great competition. A lot of fun seeing you again, and we're gonna do this again.
I'm looking forward to it, Steve. Thanks.
I'm Captain George Mitchell. This is Coastal Chaos. Finding the right rod has never been easier, especially if you know what you need. Top companies have dozens of great options. I'm especially excited about what I call the hybrid rods that do more than one thing well. The most versatile rods are capable of handling braids as well as mono. That means I can use the same rod for a lot of different things. Take this Penn Legion rod for instance. Paired up with monofilament, the perfect match for offshore sails and dolphin, but it's great for inshore species as well. But I can also load it with braid to target fish close to structure or holding on bottom in deep water. Conventional tackle requires you to define what you need from a rod before buying it. Do you need traditional ring guides or roller guides? Standard guides are fine for fish like schoolie dolphin and kings. They're the best choice for casting situations and in most light and medium duty applications for deep water jigging and live bait fishing. For the really big boys, you pretty much got to go with all roller guides. When the battle gets hairy, roller guides reduce friction. They move with the line when it passes over them. This protects your line at all stages of the battle.